Welcome to Scott Combs VoiceOvers podcast, helping you start and grow your online voiceover business. I'm Scott. What you don't know about microphones can cost you, in the sense that you'll end up buying a lot of expensive microphones before you figure out what works best for you. So, how do you get started?
A more interactive macronutrient from the origination under one roof by river.
Please stay on the line for the next rail.
In reality, nearly any good quality mic can get the job done and get you paid. But there can be an intangible quality revealed as you read when you like what you're hearing in your headphones. Inspiration matters, and though voice artists don't really talk about inspiration, I've seen it in their performances and heard it in mine. VO folks are like guitarists, trying new mics constantly. So let's talk about those mics for a second and get a little bit more information on the three basic types that voiceovers use. So the first microphone we're going to look at is a dynamic microphone. And here you go, the venerable Shure SM58. Now, those of you who are musicians and have gigged in the past have seen oceans of these microphones. They're not expensive. They're good quality, to very good quality. And they've been used on legendary recordings, and not just musical instruments. They've been used on vocals. There was a very great story told about Joe Cocker. It was the album that had the song "You Can Leave Your Hat On" it. And he was singing into a very expensive Sony microphone that cost several $1,000s, and he was kind of holding back. And the producer got after him and said, "Hey man, why are you holding back so much?" He said, "Well, I don't want to break the microphone because I don't want to have to pay for it." And the producer said, "No problem. Put one of these things up," cranked it up and said, "If you break that, it's $99. And there you go, $99 microphone. Tough as nails. We used to joke in the 80s that we could build our stage on it, or our stage with it as a hammer in the morning and sing into it at night. These things are incredible. Can you do professional work on them? Absolutely. Is it the very best microphone for you? Maybe not. But there are others. Here's another dynamic microphone, venerable thing. This is an SM7 by Shure, and I've got, for some reason, I've got several examples of Shure running around the studio. But this microphone is a great microphone to use. It's another dynamic microphone, and the important thing to know about dynamic microphones is you project the initial energy into the diaphragm, and that begins the electrical process. So as a consequence, you tend to work these microphones a little bit closer. The next kind of microphone that voiceovers use a lot is a large diaphragm condenser. This happens to be my very own 1970s vintage Neumann U87. And a lot of people say this is the king of voiceover. Well, yes and no. They get used a lot, and a lot of mics like it get used. Now, you can start talking about some very serious money when you start talking about Neumann microphones, but there are other microphones out there that are less expensive and work very, very well. They do professional work, and you can get paid for doing work on them. And the third kind of microphone, I'm going to come back to this camera, is the Audio-Technica AT875, I believe. Let me just take a quick look at it. Well, before we do that, let's talk about the Neumann a little bit more. These condenser microphones use 48 volt power supplied either by your mixer or by your audio interface, or in my case, I've got a completely separate power supply that powers this. So you've got another level of complexity to deal with when you start going to large diaphragm condensers. Shotgun mics are also powered, but most often they're powered by your mixer audio interface or a battery, which makes them a lot easier to contend with. And they're great at noise reduction. Okay, or I should say noise rejection. As a matter of fact, this is the microphone in question. It's the Audio-Technica AT875R that I've been using for 10 years or so. A great shotgun microphone. Now, this one can only be used with phantom power on your mixer or the phantom power on your interface. There is no battery compartment for it, but you can certainly buy shotgun microphones that have a battery compartment, and you just put a battery in there and it runs for a long time. These are great microphones that don't have to cost a lot. They can, but you can get them inexpensively and do very well in a professional setting. Let's take this a little further. The Shure SM58 is $99, as I mentioned before. The Shure SM7, well, that's $400, right? My very vintage 1970s Neumann U87 is between $3,000 and $6,000, depending on who you're talking to, I suppose. And a new one, well, there's a reason I don't own a new one. I don't like the way the new Neumanns sound. But that's me. This is the one that gets me going, oh yeah, I want to be in the booth. The new Neumanns, I kind of go, nyeh. But still a lot of guys swear by them. They love them, and they inspire them. But those run between $3,200 and $3,600 each, depending on, you know, how they're outfitted. Okay. Meantime, this Audio-Technica 875R is between $139 and $169. Meantime, the Sennheiser 416 shotgun, which is considerably longer, is $1,000, and that is considered sort of the granddaddy of shotgun mics for voiceover. It's a great mic, great proximity effect, but is it, you know, $830 to $850 better than an Audio-Technica 875R? Well, it depends. Did you do the voiceover? Did you send it to them? Did they pay you? That's what you got to base your decision on, okay? So if you want to know what my recommendation is from all these microphones, and these are all in my studio, the one I use every single day is my vintage Neumann U87. The one I use on all the podcasts is my Audio-Technica 875R. And the one I'd recommend for any beginner right now is an Audio-Technica 875R. So you're talking between, what, $139, $169, did I say? Something like that? For a professional grade microphone that will do the job for you for your entire career, if that's what you end up liking. But it's an inexpensive way to get a great mic and get started in your career. If you want to know more about how you talk for a living, check out the rest of the channel. If you'd like to know more about how to use a mic properly, check out the video on the screen. Thanks for watching. Talk to you later.